Here, within these ancient walls, a city unlike any other stands as a testament to millennia of faith, power, and as we shall explore, profound secrecy. Vatican City, the smallest sovereign state in the world, yet its influence, its mysteries stretch far beyond its modest geographical confines. Welcome to our deep dive into the hidden history and controversies surrounding Vatican City. From alleged World War II collaborations to mysterious financial dealings and conspiracy theories, we uncover the dark secrets of the world's smallest sovereign state. Join me, dear friends, as we peel back the layers of time and secrecy, venturing into the heart of an enduring enigma, seeking to comprehend the forces that have shaped this extraordinary place and the controversies that continue to swirl around it like the Roman mist. The very stones of Vatican City seem to whisper tales from epochs long past. 2 millennia of human endeavor, spiritual aspiration, and indeed earthly power struggles are embedded within its foundations. This extraordinary longevity has inevitably led to the accumulation of secrets, layer upon layer, like geological strata. The Vatican has been a stage for some of humanity's most profound dramas, and like any long-running play, it has its share of off-stage machinations. Consider the immense archives, a treasure trove for historians, yet for centuries, access has been carefully controlled, fueling speculation about what truths might still lie dormant. Scandals, when they have erupted, have often shaken the foundations not just of the Church, but of societies that look to it for moral guidance. From the schisms and power plays of the medieval papacy, to the more contemporary crises that have challenged its authority, the Vatican has weathered many storms. Each of these tempests leaves behind a residue of unanswered questions, of narratives managed and sometimes suppressed. The Vatican's role as a sovereign state adds another layer of complexity. It engages in diplomacy, manages finances, and possesses its own legal system, all of which can become entangled in affairs that extend far beyond the spiritual realm. The modern era, with its demand for transparency and accountability, has presented new challenges to this age-old institution. The secrets of the past, particularly those concerning its actions during times of global conflict or financial upheaval, are increasingly subject to scrutiny. While the Vatican has made some strides in opening its archives, the process is slow, and the desire for a full accounting of its history remains a powerful undercurrent among scholars and the public alike. This tension between a tradition of guardedness and the modern hunger for truth is a defining feature of its current predicament. The Second World War cast a long, dark shadow across the globe, and its chilling tendrils reached even into the hallowed precincts of Vatican City. During this period of unprecedented human suffering and moral collapse, the actions, and indeed the inactions of the Holy See and particularly of Pope Pius XIV, have become subjects of intense debate and profound controversy. Accusations have long simmered, suggesting that the Vatican, or at least certain influential figures within its hierarchy, may have played a role in facilitating the escape of Nazi war criminals in the chaotic aftermath of the conflict. These escape routes, often referred to as rat lines, allegedly shepherded individuals responsible for heinous crimes to new lives, primarily in South America, far from the reach of Allied justice. The extent of Vatican involvement remains a fiercely contested historical question. Documents have surfaced over the decades, some suggesting assistance in obtaining papers or passage, others pointing to a more passive role. At the heart of this storm stands Pope Pius IV himself, Eugenio Pacelli, who reigned from 1939 to 1958. Defenders portray him as a shrewd diplomat working tirelessly behind the scenes to save lives, maintaining a public neutrality to avoid even greater reprisals from the Axis powers. However, critics paint a far more troubling picture. They accuse Pius XII of a great silence, a failure to speak out forcefully and unequivocally against the Holocaust. The Vatican's official position during the war was one of neutrality, a stance it argued was necessary to act as a potential peacemaker. Yet, this neutrality has been scrutinized for its perceived tilt, or at least its perceived moral ambiguity. the complexities of Vatican diplomacy, its long-standing concordat with Germany, and its deep-seated fear of communism all played a role in shaping its responses during this critical period. The controversy extends beyond the Pope to the actions of individual bishops and priests. Some, like Bishop Alois Hudal, openly admitted to assisting former Nazis, viewing them as soldiers against Bolshevism. The opening of some, though not all of the Vatican archives related to Pius X's pontificate, has provided fresh material for historians, but has not settled the debate. The full picture, many believe, still lies hidden within records yet to be made public. The search for definitive answers continues, fueled by the profound moral questions raised by this dark chapter. Deep within the fortified walls of Vatican City lies an institution as enigmatic as it is influential, the Institute for the Works of Religion, more commonly known as the Vatican Bank. Founded in 1942, its stated purpose was to manage assets designated for religious or charitable works. Yet, from its very inception, this financial entity has found itself mired in controversy, with persistent whispers and at times, outright accusations of unholy alliances with the murky world of organized crime. One of the most notorious episodes involves its relationship with Banco Ambrosiano in the late 1970s and early 1980s. The chairman of Banco Ambrosiano, Roberto Calvi, dubbed God's banker, had deep ties with Archbishop Paul Marcinkus, the then head of the Vatican Bank. When Banco Ambrosiano collapsed in 1982 with over $1 billion in debt, investigations revealed a complex web of shell companies, fraudulent loans, and alleged money laundering operations. The mysterious death of Roberto Calvi, found hanging under Blackfriars Bridge in London shortly after the bank's collapse, only deepened the intrigue. The Vatican Bank, while denying legal wrongdoing, eventually paid a significant sum as a goodwill gesture to Banco Ambrosiano's creditors. Throughout its history, the Vatican Bank has faced multiple scandals and investigations related to money laundering, tax evasion, and dealings with questionable individuals and organizations. The lack of external regulation and the internal culture of secrecy made it incredibly difficult for authorities to penetrate the bank's operations. Calls for reform have been a recurring theme, particularly in recent decades. Popes John Paul II, Benedict XVI, and Francis have all initiated measures aimed at increasing transparency and bringing the Vatican Bank's operations more in line with international financial standards. However, the legacy of past scandals and the deep-seated culture of discretion mean that skepticism often greets these reform efforts. The enduring suspicion is that the Vatican Bank, at various points in its history, served as a conduit for funds from dubious sources. In the late summer of 1978, the Catholic world rejoiced at the election of a new pope, Albino Luciani, who took the name John Paul I. Known as the Smiling Pope for his warm and humble demeanor, he brought a breath of fresh air to the papacy. His pontificate, however, was to be tragically and mysteriously short-lived. After just 33 days on the throne of St. Peter, Pope John Paul I was found dead in his papal apartment, an event that sent shockwaves through the Vatican and ignited a firestorm of speculation and conspiracy theories. The official Vatican account attributed his death to a heart attack. However, inconsistencies and contradictions in the initial Vatican statements regarding the discovery of his body immediately sowed seeds of doubt. The refusal to conduct an autopsy, citing papal tradition, only served to intensify suspicions. Rumors of foul play began to circulate almost immediately. The narrative quickly emerged that Pope John Paul I, a man perceived as an outsider and a reformer, may have been murdered to prevent him from uncovering and tackling deep-rooted corruption within the Vatican itself. Central to these theories was the Pope's alleged intention to clean house, particularly concerning the Vatican Bank and its dubious financial dealings. Some accounts suggest he was preparing a list of high-ranking Vatican officials whom he intended to remove or reassign. The figure of Archbishop Paul Marcinkus, the controversial head of the Vatican Bank at the time, looms large in these theories. The idea that John Paul I was on the verge of exposing this corruption provided a compelling motive for his elimination. The Vatican has consistently and vehemently denied any suggestion of foul play, adhering to the explanation of a natural death. Yet, the lack of a thorough, transparent investigation at the time remains a critical point of contention. Beyond the terrestrial concerns of finance, diplomacy, and internal governance, the Vatican extends its gaze far, far outwards, towards the silent star-strewn immensity of the cosmos. For centuries, the Catholic Church has maintained a keen interest in astronomy, a legacy stretching back to figures like Galileo. In the modern era, this interest is embodied by the Vatican Observatory, one of the oldest astronomical research institutions in the world. Its headquarters are in Castel Gandolfo, near Rome, and it has a significant research presence in Arizona, USA. This American outpost, the Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope, situated atop Mount Graham, has become a focal point for a peculiar brand of controversy. While its stated objective is straightforward astronomical research, its existence has fueled a range of speculative theories. Chief among these is the persistent notion that the Vatican, through VATT, might be engaged in a more clandestine search, the quest for extraterrestrial intelligence. The idea of the Holy See searching for aliens might seem, at first glance, to be the stuff of fiction. Yet proponents of this theory point to several intriguing, if circumstantial, pieces of the puzzle. Some modern Vatican astronomers and theologians have openly discussed the potential theological implications of discovering extraterrestrial life. The Vatican Observatory, for its part, dismisses such theories as unfounded speculation. Its scientists emphasize their commitment to mainstream astronomical research, publishing their findings in peer-reviewed journals, and collaborating with the global scientific community. However, the very juxtaposition of an ancient religious institution with cutting-edge astronomical technology creates an undeniable mystique. Within the heart of Vatican City lies one of the most significant and most famously inaccessible historical archives in the world, the Vatican Apostolic Archive. This vast repository contains an unparalleled collection of documents, records, papal correspondence, state papers, and historical accounts stretching back over 12 centuries. The term secret in its former name did not imply that the contents were all clandestine or sinister, but rather that it was the Pope's private archive. However, the very name, coupled with the historically restrictive access policies, has inevitably fueled immense speculation about what earth-shattering revelations might be contained within its miles of shelving. For historians, it represents both an unparalleled resource and, at times, a source of profound frustration. For centuries, access to these archives was extremely limited, granted only to a select few scholars. This opacity has led to countless theories about what the Church might be concealing. In recent decades, there has been a gradual, though still cautious, opening of these archives. Portions relating to specific pontificates or historical periods have been made available to qualified researchers. The most recent significant opening pertains to the controversial pontificate of Pope Pius XII. Yet, even with these openings, the process is meticulous, and vast swaths of material remain off-limits. The calls for greater transparency and more rapid declassification are persistent and come from many quarters. The anticipation surrounding future releases is palpable. Our journey through the shadowed corridors and contested histories of Vatican City draws to a close, yet the echoes of its secrets will undoubtedly linger. We have glimpsed a world where faith and power, piety and politics have intertwined for centuries, creating a narrative as complex and compelling as any ever told. The pursuit of understanding such an ancient and influential entity is an ongoing endeavor. The layers of secrecy built up over generations are not easily peeled away. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the dark secrets of Vatican City. The story of Vatican City is far from over, and its capacity to surprise, to challenge, and to fascinate remains undiminished.